Hey, what's going on everyone? In this video I'm going to be doing a review of the AVerLife ExtremeVision 0272 USB media player. The unit itself is designed by AVerMedia. And so let's start with the physical components and then move into like a software demonstration of what you get. So basically these are just some of the contents that come out of the box. I didn't do the wires and stuff. You get the actual media player, the remote, and a wireless adapter. Let's discuss the remote first, get it out of the way. The remote itself, I'm not a fan of. It's just too big. It's got too many buttons on it. Some of them are very unnecessary. It's more complicated than it needs to be, basically. Considering how simplistic the menu is in this unit itself, half these shortcuts aren't even needed. All you need is the home button and the navigation button. You'll understand what I mean when I actually get the unit up and running, but personally I think the remote is more complicated than it needs to be. This is the wireless adapter. Now, of course, it does come in the box. However, you cannot use a third-party wireless adapter. To get Wi-Fi signal, you must use the adapter that comes in the box. So if it breaks, you must buy a new one from AVerMedia. I have tried a third-party wireless adapter, one from Asus, which is a great company. It simply doesn't work at all. So if this breaks, you're done. I'm not sure why they didn't just build it internally. I don't know if the AVerMedia thought, hey, let's build an antenna. It'll provide stronger signal, but they could have just made it a permanent fixture on the back. For some reason, they didn't want to. You must take one of the USB ports by using this, which is not really a good thing. As for the unit itself, in terms of size, let's go over the size first. Here's my cell phone. It's a Nexus 4. So right off the bat, you can see this is a fairly large media player. One of the larger ones in the market, actually. It's pretty big. As for the physical design at the front, you have nothing. When the device is on or powering on or whatever, you'll see a blue LED notification light here. The remote sensor is here, of course. On the top, you have nothing. On the bottom, you have nothing, just your model number, serial number, etc. Over on the right, you have nothing. On the back is pretty much where everything is. You have your regular component cables, outputs rather. You have optical audio, HDMI output. You have two USB ports, one here, this white one, and this black one over here. eSATA support, Ethernet for 10, 100, 1000, and of course the DC in for power. Inside the device itself, it does have a dual core processor. I'm not sure what type, but according to AVerMedia, it does have one though. It has DLNA support, UPnP server support, and Samba server support as well. So over on the left side, we have nothing as well. So here's some major problems with the design itself. There's no USB ports accessible on the left, top, right, front, not at all. If you want to keep changing something, like if you want to watch a new video, and you gotta plug your USB stick at the back, and which can be extremely annoying and very frustrating. Now, what I was saying before is that basically you have two USB ports. One could be for a USB stick with media on it. One could be for this wireless adapter. One could be for a keyboard and mouse. So basically, if you want to have Wi-Fi, watch a video, and a keyboard at the same time, you can't. There's just two USB ports. This wireless adapter takes up a slot on its own. It should have been a permanent fixture here, and then you have two USB ports. So as big as it is, it still doesn't have that many USB ports, which is kind of bizarre. Now let's move on to the software by plugging into the TV and demonstrating how it works. Okay, so now we're in the AVerMedia device itself. So before continuing any further, I just wanted to let you know that I'll give you the list of supported file types that this USB media player can play according to AVerMedia's website. So this is just a list I've copied and pasted from AVerMedia's website. I'll put that list in the description below. You can read all the supported file types there. So this is the UI. It's very simple, which is a good thing, but it's also kind of cold and boring. It doesn't have too much to it, which is kind of a bad thing. But let's go into the settings menu. And there's not much. It's just your very generic stuff. You know, audio. You can, change the output, video, color, etc. Other settings. Okay, if you have an internet connection, you can have firmware automatically install, like automatically, or you can disable it as I have now. What happened is this device automatically downloaded firmware, and that's usually a good thing. Usually involves bug fixes or improves the device. It actually broke Wi-Fi connectivity. It just stopped working. And what happened is back in July of 2012, I believe, Another firmware was released. It's currently in beta form, but I manually installed it with a USB stick. The instructions are on the website of AVerMedia. That claims it fixes the Wi-Fi disconnection problem. It didn't fix it. So currently this device does not work with Wi-Fi at all. One of their updates actually broke Wi-Fi. So right now the only way I'm actually getting an internet connection is through a wired connection. So there's something to be aware of. And I can't find a phone number on their website. You have to email them. You can't call tech support. For the life of me, I just can't simply find it. So that's a big problem I have with this device right now. Network setup is just your generic stuff. Media setup, like this is all pretty standard stuff. And of course, I tried to delete the current version that I have, which is version 1.16.12, by hitting reset. All reset does is basically turn off, it resets the language, your country, the time, that's it. It doesn't actually delete the version number and go back to the stock version that came out of the box. It doesn't do that, which is really unfortunate. Okay, so if we go over to web browser, you got like a Google search, which is just your regular web browser. You got YouTube. This device does not come with Flash. However, it does have a YouTube app, but it's extremely slow to load up. Okay, so the YouTube app took about 10 seconds to load up, which is kind of slow considering that AVerMedia claims that there's a dual-core processor in their media device. And opening a video, waiting still, and there, finally, okay, working smooth. And remember, folks, that this is being played back through a wired connection. It's still pretty laggy. So the YouTube app isn't anything too impressive, but at least it's available and it's there. That's important. Okay, so I just want to let you guys know that some of the things you see listed here aren't exactly apps. YouTube, which I just demonstrated, is actually an app. But if you go to Facebook, for example, it just shows up a regular Facebook page on its website through the web browser. It's not an actual standalone app. So on a device like this, if you don't have a mouse connected via USB port, which is available at the back, this can be very clunky and extremely annoying to navigate. So you have a newsreader, which you can, add stuff. If you press the enter button, you can add more here. Okay, iMedia, you have Live 365, Internet TV, Flickr, Picasa. These are the standalone actual apps. These are the ones that actually work as they should. I'm opening Flickr, just kind of taking its time, which makes me doubt there's a dual-core processor there. Finally, it's like I said, there's a dual-core processor according to AVerMedia. This must be the cheapest dual-core processor they could dish out. It's really slow. But let's go into the media playback. That's what you guys really want, right? I mean, it is a USB player. So it is able to play MTS file formats, which is a really rare file format actually. However, you'll see that there's this blinking timestamp. That is not part of the original recording. In fact, it's not supposed to be there at all. So it is able to play back videos just fine, but that little timestamp shouldn't exist, which is a big con considering that their website claims it plays MTS, but apparently can't play it properly, I guess. AVI with the Divx codec, it plays it just fine, no problem. MKV, 1080p, sorry, this is 720p, I believe. It works like a dream. There's no lag. It actually loads up really quick. You can fast forward. And you saw there was a bit of a lag there. I pressed the play button. It just kept fast forwarding like crazy, but hey, it works just fine. And of course, lastly is MP4 file format, 1080p. It works just great. Looks fantastic. Now, if I have to give this device a final verdict, I would give it a 2 out of a 5. And that might seem really harsh, but well, here's basically the reason why. The pros is that it works pretty fast as a USB media player. It's actually really quick and very responsive, which is great. The menu system itself is very simplistic, really easy to navigate, nothing too complicated, which is a good thing. The cons, however, outweigh the pros. To get this device is very, very expensive. In fact, on AVerMedia's website, they're selling it refurbished at $150, which is not even close to being worth that much money, due to the high amount of competition with USB media players nowadays. Some come with Android built in them. This device does not support Adobe Flash or Java. Even though YouTube works, it's due to the standalone app. There's no actual Flash or Java included, so you can't use that in the web browser. The update from the company itself broke Wi-Fi. Their fix that was supposed to fix it, well, didn't do anything. You can't use a third-party wireless adapter, so if you break the one that you get out of the box, you have to purchase another one from AVerMedia, which will probably most likely be very expensive. And not enough apps are available. These are the 5 proper apps that are available, and as you saw, YouTube is kind of an exception, but that's it. Whatever you get out of the box is pretty much it, unless AVerMedia includes some more in a future update, which I highly doubt, to be honest. Another con is that even though the listing of supported file types has MTS, and I did demonstrate that for you guys, the problem is that it had that annoying timestamp showing up at the bottom, which isn't part of the video. It's probably just extracting information from the file's information, like the date it was recorded or something, which is fine. It's good to have in the file, but not when it's playing. I don't want to see that. So that's another con. The last con is the physical design of the media player itself. It's just too big. People like compact, especially considering that you can get media players with far more functionality, more apps in maybe media players a third of the size, like the Western Digital media player, for example. It packs a big punch for such a small compact device. Not only that, the worst part of the physical design is that the USB ports are located at the back, so you have to reach over, plug it in, and hope that you found the spot where it's supposed to be plugged in. It's really annoying, especially considering if some people have it in a TV stand or something. It's hard to reach at the back. I'm not sure whose job it was to design it, but they did a really poor job of it, I gotta say. Now it might seem like a really harsh score, a 2 out of a 5, but considering how much competition there is in the USB media industry right now, you got Western Digital, you got Nbox, you got Asus, like the list just goes on, and some of them come with a lot more apps, and some of them come with Android, which allows you to install, from thousands of apps to choose from, many of them free for that matter. So personally, I would say you would avoid this device if possible, and that's my review. If you found this video useful, check out my website in the description below, hit the like button, it does help, subscribe, and thanks for watching.